And welcome back to another story time with Tallie Reigh. I'm really excited for this episode. I'm excited for every episode, let's be honest. But today's episode, we are talking about preschool directors and some people that have worked under some preschool directors that weren't that great. I have my own stories related to this. I've had some amazing directors, I've had some not so amazing directors. I've had some people I've worked under that were just downright bad, but I don't think it was in preschool land. I will say one of my directors, we used to, like, we'd have nap time and all the kids would be sleeping. We would all be just sitting around talking about our lessons, quote unquote. But whenever the office was upstairs, so whenever we heard our boss coming down the stairs during nap time, because we weren't supposed to, talk about personal stuff, we'd hear that door open, and it never failed. One of us would be like, "No, but again, I got it confused. It was classification, not seriation." And it was our cue for all of us to go, "Oh, hey, what are you doing for your class on Friday?" Like it was totally a shift. So that was kind of our way around talking about personal things, because face it, we're preschool teachers. We did all sorts of things. Like if we were all at the bar the night before, we'd call it the yard sale. "Hey, were you on that yard sale on 44th and State?" And so yeah, it's always fun to have some code and coworkers and fun stuff like that. These categories, or this topic, I got from the malicious compliance category of Reddit. So let's get going. Also, if my audio sounds a little wonky, Audacity did an update, and I'm not sure why it sounds different. So there you have it. Our first story is called "I Will Report Every Bathroom Break." Of course. I chose this story because it involves preschoolers and potty training, which I have a child of preschool age and we are potty training, and I am happy to say this is the last one I have to potty train. So yay! Here we go. So several years ago, I worked for the worst boss ever. I was working as a teacher at a preschool. I had 28 students in my class, ages 4 to 5. I had no assistant at any time of the day. I'm just going to pause there. In many places, that's illegal. Just side note. Okay, back to the story. So this meant I had to do quite a lot of tasks all at once, by myself. One of these things were bathroom breaks. The bathroom had a half wall, boys on one side and girls on the other. This way the teachers can supervise all the learners at once. I had a very well-oiled routine with my class at bathroom breaks. I'll explain in detail here. If you don't want to read, skip to the next paragraph. So I had 2 lines, boys and girls. They lined up at opposite sides so they could not see into the other toilet. Kids go in 4 at a time. Once you're done, you sit on the floor in the doorway until everyone's done. This way, I could keep my eyes on almost every child at all times. The doors were always open, so I could run out if needed. I jumped over the half wall if needed, and basically had everyone within a few meters of myself. The entire routine took about 10 minutes. I did my routine once every hour. Kids could go to the bathroom by themselves in between bathroom breaks. There were no issues. My boss comes shouting into my class one day. A girl in my class has had an accident. She wet herself while on her way to the bathroom. My boss shouted about this girl wetting her pants in front of all of my students who were having free play. The kids were all silent. She screamed at me, and I just tried to explain that she was on her way. She just didn't make it, and our next bathroom break was in 10 minutes. She continued shouting at me. I waited for her to finish screaming and asked if the child who wet herself had been helped to change. She says no. I have to go do it. I cannot leave my learners unsupervised. So I asked if she could please keep an eye on my class while I changed the student into dry clothes. She looked me dead in the eye and says, "No, your whole class is having a bathroom break now. And from now on, you go every 20 minutes. Bathroom break, the whole class, every 20 minutes. I just nodded my head and told my learners, "Pack up time." She said to leave the class as is and go to the bathroom. The kids lined up at the door. Then we walk outside a few meters to the lockers. We line up again while I collect new clothes. Then we walk to the bathroom and do the routine as above. Plus, I need to change my student into dry clothes. It was a nightmare. I checked the clock when we left and made a mental note to come back in 20 minutes. I did, every 20 minutes. The problem is the bathrooms get cleaned every 30 minutes. So oftentimes we would just have to wait outside because the bathroom was wet. Other classes needed to use the toilet, but we were constantly in there. We walked to the toilet and just walked back if no one said they needed the bathroom. By the end of the day, they were so sick of going to the toilet about 1 o'clock. The next morning, we continued the routine. That meant that sometimes parents came to drop off and there was no one to welcome them or watch their child, or that parents were still trying to do a handover and then it's been 20 minutes, so it's time for a bathroom break. We started our morning circle ring and went to the bathroom. We read a story and then went to the bathroom. We had free play, bathroom, every 20 minutes. Everyone in the school was so annoyed with me. Everyone knew it was ridiculous, but I told them that's what the boss lady said. So that afternoon, a schedule was sent out as to when every class may use the bathroom, scheduling the bathroom breaks and cleaning breaks for all the classes. And wouldn't you know it, my class was scheduled for once every 60 minutes. Ha! Sometimes I look at these directors and they make these decisions and I'm like, you are so incredibly clueless of what happens in your classroom. My last facility I worked at that was preschool based, excuse me, was with it's a nationally recognized program, but the people that make the decisions are not the people working in the classroom. And it never fails. They say, oh, we got your input. It's like, no, you didn't. You asked for everyone's input, quote unquote, on paper. You already had the choice made before you asked for the input. And then you just said, oh, somebody came up with this idea. Nobody came up with that idea. You already knew what you were going to do. And this is a classic case of just an impulsive, like, you need to do this right now. But to yell at the staff person in front of everyone, granted, as a manager, this could be skewed as well. Like it could not be that it's in the eye of the beholder. So like if I play devil's advocate a little bit, when I taught preschool before I was a manager, I remember sitting there at my desk and our supervisor comes in and she so calmly talks to my coworker. She's all, hey, how are you doing on these checkpoints? Are they done yet? Oh, okay, you'll have them done. Okay, great. Okay, just want to check in with you. And she leaves. The gal, my coworker teacher, turned to her assistant when her assistant came in. Oh my gosh, my boss just came in and yelled at me. I was like right there. She didn't even yell. She didn't raise her voice. I have a hunch, though, in this case, she was yelling and probably she is just there to collect a paycheck. The supervisor is. She probably has never, I'm sure she's worked in a classroom, but it's probably been so long she's been in a classroom, she's completely lost touch. So good on you for holding true to what she told you to do, because everyone else knew that this was not a smart decision. But you held that compliance maliciously, and I love it. I am here for that. Good job. So sometimes I realize these stories on Reddit can actually, might be somewhat falsified, but just as we read these, we're just assuming they're true. So if this next one is true, which I'm assuming it is, I am so grateful this person stepped in at this preschool and did what she did. Because talk about a show. So here we go. Expect me to treat kids not very well? I'm going to shut down your daycare. So this happened a number of years ago when I was in college studying preschool education. A new daycare had recently opened up in our town, and it already had a bit of an unsavory reputation. For some reason, they had gotten my name from one of my professors as a potential supply teacher. Whatever, but okay. I'm assuming a supply teacher is like an assistant teacher or a substitute teacher. Cue a call from them at 6:30 a.m. on the hottest day of summer. I kid you not, it had to be 30 degrees Celsius at 7 a.m. and the temp was still rising. Let's see a little math here for us Americans. Let's see, we got Celsius, 30 times 1.8. Well, we'll add 32, so that's about 86 degrees at 6:30 in the morning. Check my math. Go for it. I'll wait. Just kidding. The director was in a twist, needing a supply for a few days, and promised to pay me $10 an hour if I came in to pinch hit. What college student doesn't need money? So I agreed and headed over. I got there at about 8 a.m. and the place was disgusting. Dirty floors, filthy walls, broken toys. It looked like the school from the movie Matilda. I barely had time to take in the nastiness around me when I heard a woman screaming in the kitchen, "Eat, dang you!" and the sound of a very young baby wailing. I scooted myself to the kitchen, as was met with more absolute filth. Dirty dishes piled on the counter, crusted pots filled with something in the sink, and flies. Oh, the flies. Sadly, that wasn't the worst of it, because sitting in a battered high chair was a crying baby with an enraged adult, teacher I assume, trying to force a spoonful of oatmeal into his tiny mouth. Me, what are you doing? Teacher, little brat won't eat. Eat, dang you! I moved her aside, got him calmed down, and gave him his cereal. Cue ticked off teacher, who was apparently offended that a stupid supply knew how to get a baby to eat. Gasp. As I was finishing up with Junior, the director came into the kitchen and announced my class. I don't know why it says cough, but dramatic effect, I guess. Class for the day would be the school-age kids upstairs. I made my way up the stairs, and the heat met me about halfway to the top. It was a sauna. Easily 45 Celsius up there. Okay, math again. 45 times 1.8 plus 32. Easily 113 degrees. Ew. Director. Oh, yeah, the AC broke 3 weeks ago. We haven't gotten it fixed yet. I looked around at the 3 most bare rooms on the upper floor. In one was a TV with a video game console and 2 controllers. In another was some old board games, and a third had a shelf with some battered books on it. With this, I was expected to entertain 15 children for the next 8 hours. Fast forward to early afternoon. I have opened every window and the door to the fire escape, hoping to get some cross breeze going. The kids are hot and bored. Thank goodness they each brought their own lunch, because there was no way I was going to feed them whatever came crawling out of that kitchen. I had asked the director if the kids and I might go down to the backyard where there was shade, and was told firmly no. We had to stay upstairs in the inferno the entire day. Here's where we cue the malicious compliance. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, these little dun-dun-duns and all these little audios are actually written in the post. It's pretty funny. I was sitting out on the fire escape with several of the kids playing a game when a very smartly dressed woman walked out and introduced herself as Mrs. Blah, blah, blah from Social Services. Did I have a few moments to talk to her? Oh, did I have a few moments. Come, pull up a milk crate. Let's chat, shall we? I told her everything. The dirt, the flies, the teacher screaming at the baby, the broken AC, and refusal of letting the kids go downstairs and try to prevent heat stroke. And the cream on the cake? I had not yet gotten my degree in preschool teaching. I was an unlicensed, unsupervised college student in charge of 15 kids. Apparently, the staff had all refused to talk to her at all, so she and I had a lovely conversation for the next half an hour, and it didn't take the kids long to realize this was their chance for their own bit of revenge, as they piped up with their own stories and complaints. The daycare was shut down the next day. I was never paid, but honestly, just getting them closed down was payment enough for me. Holy crap. I don't know if crap's a bad word in your house. It's not at my house. We do say it. But that just, oh my gosh. I have worked at some places, and I've actually worked in a house that was similar. Like, I picture this house I used to teach preschool in, where like the preschool was downstairs and the offices were upstairs, and I know that feeling of walking up the stairs and getting blasted with that heat, because this place, I think it had a window air conditioner, but my supervisor, our director, was like going through menopause, so half the time it was either freezing cold up there or super super hot. Half the time it didn't even work, but kids didn't go up there. It was just adults, so it wasn't this scenario. The only thing close that I've had to deal with something like this, it was not nasty. Our place was very clean. There was one summer we had to bring some kids over from the toddler world early, so it was my job to take the kids that were going into kindergarten off campus every day. We lived or our preschool was downtown in a pretty metropolis area, and it was a very safe area. So I was able to take them out. We did field trips every day, but man, it got exhausting. And I mean, it was 110 degrees outside. So I understand the heat portion. One thing I'm very grateful for is we have like an office of childcare here in my state, and in this last state I worked in as well. And they are regularly getting checked. So my guess is this is in another country where they don't have all of the, hey, you have to do A, B, and C, or else you can't be open. So this just makes me go, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Luckily it had just opened up, and now they're closed, and hopefully they never open up again. So that is all I have for today. I actually did have a third story, but it was just another story. This one was not necessarily a bad boss, but a pretty clueless boss. A lot of times we get supervisors that don't realize what our schedule is, and she really disrupted a nap time, and it's not too much of a story. But I do want to know, do you have any stories of poor decision making in a boss? I'd love to see it. Go ahead and leave a comment, a like, subscribe if you want to see more. I do enjoy the malicious compliance category because it's like, really? You did that? Cool. So that's all I got for today. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if we need to do more like this. I prefer the Am I the Jerks, but I thought this one was really good too. So I hope you guys all have a good day. Subscribe.